Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. Thank you so much for being with us today. Art and Talk is all about meeting artists and being inspired. We embrace the traditional arts and we embrace the spiritual arts as well to bring you diverse and quality interviews to watch and to be inspired by. We're excited because today we're bringing you a new art genre. Our guest is a spiritual healer and she's also a fitness expert. And we'll be looking at the art of energy and balance through movement. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome our guest for today, Hawa Robin Khan. Hawa, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here, Leslie Sue. I'm so happy to be here and I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, well, we're honored to have you here. And so we're exploring a new art genre for us here on Art and Talk. So thank you for being here with us. All right, so there's so many places that I want to start with. Let's go ahead and start with energy and balance. And if you want to share how you got started, you have this really cool wild feminine Pilates. And you do so many different things as a spiritual healer and a fitness expert. So, where would you like to start, Hawa?
I'd love to share some of the stepping stones that brought me to where I am today. I started as a ballet dancer and I went to the Joffrey Ballet School in New York and was studying at the New School University for my BFA. And during that time, I was introduced to both Pilates and yoga. And I used them specifically as a way to enhance my skills as a dancer. But towards the end of my college career, I sustained a low back injury. And this is what opened my eyes to the healing powers of both Pilates and yoga. And I found myself on the mat in a Kundalini yoga class in New York, which is a very spiritual kind of yoga. And I felt as though God was speaking to me in a way that I had never experienced direct communication with God before. And I was fascinated that as a result of my movement practice, I was receiving guidance as to how to purify my life, how to elevate my consciousness, and how to receive messages and guidance from God. So I became a spiritual seeker. And in my seeking, I came across books about angels and this communication of connecting with my guardian angels brought me to a heartfelt prayer. Was that I realized after many years of this first experience on my yoga mat in my Kundalini yoga class that what I really wanted was direct communication with God. And as soon as I made this prayer, I really want direct communication with God, I was introduced to a university called the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism. And Sufism is the mystical aspect of Islam. And if we look at the word Islam, this means surrender to God in peace. So I became a seeker on the Sufi path, and I started walking on this path, and I became very passionate about learning everything that I could about healing. And I realized that I could ask God whatever question that I had on my heart. So I started asking about Pilates. I started asking about anatomy. I started asking about yoga. I started asking about healing using the divine names, which is a Sufi practice. And I allowed myself to be very curious. I think that when we allow ourselves the luxury of curiosity and we come up with these questions, but then even more powerfully, when we ask God specifically our questions, the downpouring of knowledge that happens as a result is so inspiring. So I really allowed myself to ask as many questions as I could. And I still go along this path of asking God my questions. Specifically, I ask God, what is the truth? What is the truth about Pilates? What is the truth about anatomy? What is the truth about yoga? What is the truth about healing? And I've been very curious lately about pain relief. So many people come to me with neck pain, back pain, pelvic pain, joint pain, and even like emotional pain and even spiritual pain. So my task that I've self-appointed myself, or I don't know if God has given me this role, but is I want to know how to relieve the suffering of humanity using the tools that God has given me. So I've been asking very specifically lately about pain relief. And this is what led me to create my online course, Warm Up. Warm Up is an online fitness studio that is gentle exercise that you can use for daily movement that is intended to bring you to pain-free fitness. And as I did my explorations and created this online studio, I decided that I was working on it for many years, 10 years. During the pandemic, I decided, okay, it's time to launch. Everybody's at home. Nobody's really going to the gym. It's time to share my gift. And after that, it was almost like this wildfire of Zoom courses and online courses just came pouring out of me. That, I sat down in prayer and meditation at the very beginning of March 2020, and I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What am I going to do? Because I couldn't teach in person at that time. And I received a gift, which was the Wild Feminine Pilates program. And in this gift were 5 online courses, which is the Wild Feminine Pilates course, which I'm teaching right now on Saturdays on Zoom, an 8-week core transformation that I like to do from January to March to kick off the year with some really great fitness and core related fitness, and a womb steaming course, which is an ancient art of using tea to heal the womb space, and healing trauma with Hawa, which is going to be starting in October. And like I said, I've been really knocking on God's door and asking, what is the relief for the suffering of humanity at this time, both physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? I have never seen so many people at one time deal with so many challenges as I have over the last 2 years that we've all been dealing with COVID. And it hasn't stopped there. People tell me their stories and just so many challenges. I've never seen so many people one time. You say God doesn't give you more than you can handle. But I think that we're being stretched right now, truthfully, to be honest. I'm being stretched, and I see my community being stretched. So many questions are coming up about how we with our world is facing, worldwide disease. It's a difficult time for humanity at this time. So my question was, how humanity, and as well watching human rights activities over the last year for civil rights in the United States of America, I found myself deeply grieved that we were watching people suffer at such heights at this time, that we're still watching people suffer from racism, and we're watching people suffer from violence. And I felt so deeply grieved. I was laying on my yoga mat and I felt like I couldn't move, like I felt paralyzed. And as I was laying on the ground, I remembered one of the teachings that Dr. Tammy Lynn Kent, who's the author of the book Wild Feminine, she writes a chapter on grief. And she writes about having grief ceremonies. And I decided that I wanted to have monthly grief ceremonies to allow people to process their emotions that we're feeling around COVID, that we're feeling around racism, that we're feeling around all of the injustices that are happening in the world at this time. And so we started doing grief ceremonies once a month, and they were really powerful. And it gave me an opportunity to put together all of the tools that I've gathered over the years, from prayers, from the Sufi path, and nonviolent communication, and using Pilates and yoga for somatic healing, for healing the body and moving emotions out of the body. And as a result, we're making space in the body to open to the divine light, to open to a higher perspective. So I want to take a break at this point to do a breathing exercise. Is that okay with you, Leslie Sue, if we take a break for a breathing exercise?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to put my little keyboard down.
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we're going to do a hand exercise. This is actually from the Kundalini yoga tradition. And I love it because I can kind of do it low key anywhere. Like I can do it standing in line at the supermarket, or I'd like to do it in my car before I drive because driving is a little hectic here in South Florida. And I like to do it when I sit down on my computer because I found that from typing that my hands and my wrists were getting tight. So we're gonna do 3 different hand exercises today. And I invite everybody to join in if they would like to prop up their phone and free up your hands. So let's start by rubbing the hands together. As you rub your hands together, feel the connection from your hands to your heart. Feel the connection from your heart to your hands. And from here, we're gonna make wrist circles. So really gentle wrist circles, 5 in each direction, stirring our heart energy. Reverse the circles as you're ready. Once you've circled in both directions, we're going to bring the thumb and pointer finger together. And you can rest your hands on your legs. And we're going to take one smooth inhale and one smooth exhale, in and out of the nose. At the very end of your exhale breath, we're going to switch our hand position. Thumb touches the middle finger. And take a smooth inhale and a smooth exhale. And now the thumb touches the ring finger. Take a smooth inhale breath, inhale through the nose, and a long, slow exhale breath, breathing out of the nose. Let's shift to the little finger, thumb touching the little finger. Take a deep breath in and out. And when you're ready to, bring your hands together in front of your heart, spread your fingers wide, rest your thumbs on your sternum, and take 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. As you breathe, breathe into your heart space. So that breathing exercise can actually be done over and over and over again. Thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger. And you can do that cycle over and over and over again as many times as needed. And I find that as somebody whose mind is like thinking a lot of thoughts all the time and always coming up with fresh new ideas, I find that this kind of gives me a chance to restart my focus, so that way I stay focused. And then the breathing is that constant flow. So I've heard so many people say, you know, I can't meditate. In other words, I can't clear my mind and keep it clear. And I think that's a very lofty expectation, that if we're going to sit down and expect in meditation that our mind is just going to clear and we're going to breathe and we're going to have no thoughts. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned after 20 years of meditation is that meditation is the observation of the thoughts. We observe the thoughts float up to the surface. We observe them pass and clear. We come back to silence. And that happens over and over and over again. So as we allow ourselves to shift our focus to each finger, we allow ourselves to bring ourselves back into focus onto the breath with each time we shift the finger. So it helps me to concentrate when I get the hands involved, and it helps me to meditate. And it also, I think, you know, provides some mercy to give us something to concentrate on. And the topic of mercy to me is so inspiring, because growing up in the dance world, mercy was not really a topic that I was familiar with. I was taught to push through boundaries, push through pain, exceed limits, to go without food, to go without water, to go without sleep. And I learned over the years how to nurture myself. And it's been a very creative process. We had a conversation, you and I, yesterday, about everything is art. And when you said that, it brought chills to my body. Like, I felt chills all over, because it felt like such a powerful statement. Everything is art. And I love when you said that, because I think that it gives us this perspective of beauty. And as we shift our focus towards mercy, towards beauty, I'm really learning how to nourish myself with food more. I'm learning how to nourish myself with rest more. And I'm learning how to take these movement breaks throughout the day. And I think the Wild Feminine Pilates program has really taught me how to find a deeper well of love within myself, within my pelvis, within my practices that bring me closer to creativity. And I love what you're doing with these talks because I think it's inspiring creativity.
Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, first of all, I wanted to say that how much I admire your prayers of the heart are so deep and so profound. And you can see how many doors have opened, just even going back to the first prayer of your heart to commune with God, and then to have pain-free movement as you were seeing, so much going on in the world. And then the exercise that you just showed us, how that was great. I was doing that right along with you, and I felt so much peace. And I love your words, refocus and flow. Like, how on point is that? So, yeah. And so let's touch upon the wild Pilates, and your insight that you're sharing is just really deep and profound as well. So the wild feminine Pilates, you were saying, is really bringing a resource of creativity, like you're diving into that well, and then you were mentioning like the pelvic area. So it's almost kind of like that grounding, but it's also kind of bringing in, like other, if you want to say like cosmic energy, kind of like stirring and merging and blending. Can you touch upon a little bit more about the Wild Feminine Pilates? And then we have a video that you've created that really touches upon it too. And we'll get ready to show that in just a little bit.
Yes, like I said, the Wild Feminine Pilates program was a gift that I received during quarantine as a result of going into prayer and meditation and really asking God, how can I be of loving service at this time? And what does the world need? And how can I use the tools that I'm trained in to meet some of those needs? And some of those needs, I think, have to do with rest. And the concept of rest is deeply feminine. The concept of looking inwards is deeply feminine. We live in a society that values production, which is this outward flow of energy. And I'm learning how to find this balance between masculine and feminine energy by going inwards and asking for guidance directly from God, and then taking those jewels of wisdom into motion and going outwards, which is then the balancing of the masculine and the feminine. So the form for a Wild Feminine Pilates class is about a 15 to 30-minute meditation upon the pelvic bowl. And these meditations come from Dr. Tammy Lynn Kent's book, Wild Feminine. She describes them so beautifully in her book. She's a really powerful writer, and she shares women's stories that she's worked with as a pelvic care physical therapist. Her book is very inspiring. So we start with the pelvic bowl meditation, and this is our journey inwards. This is our cultivation of the feminine. And then we go into motion with some very gentle therapeutic Pilates, which for me is the balancing of the energy. To go into motion, to find action, is the activation of the masculine. And when we find this balance of masculine and feminine within ourselves, we have a greater range of expression. We have a greater range of creativity, and we have a deeper potential for healing. The womb space, the uterus, is deeply healing. The ovaries can actually regenerate and send healing to the entire body. And these were these aha moments that I've had after spending time practicing these meditations, spending time teaching these meditations, and now recording them to make them available on my website for my community and for the community, the world community at large. So as we go deeper and deeper, as we spiral deeper and deeper into the pelvic bowl teachings, I'm asking people to meditate on the questions: what makes you feel creative? And are you allowing yourself creative expression? And how often are you allowing yourself creative expression? Because it is in this creative expression that we find freedom. And this freedom to express ourselves through art, in my opinion, is a non-violent way to express the full spectrum of emotions. You can express every single emotion, from the happiest of happies to the ragiest of rages to the most depressing of sadnesses. And as we transform our emotional energy into art, this is alchemy, this is healing, this gives us expression in a way that I believe that cultures that restrict artful expression are more prone to violence. And I think we're seeing that now in Afghanistan, sadly, where women are being restricted from their education, from their work, and from their ability to express themselves creatively. And this is not what the teachings of Islam teach. This is not surrendering to God in peace. And I think the most sad, the thing that grieves me the most is the misinterpretation of holy teachings that are supposed to cultivate compassion and mercy and love. And people are being restricted with violence. And I think that's wrong. And that's something that I just want to touch upon briefly today, is that when we allow ourselves artful expression, we allow ourselves to heal emotionally. And this is freedom. And spirituality should take people to a place of freedom.
I love this freedom and creativity and this whole release, and really having that open us up to true healing. And I really admire so much how being a fitness expert, being involved and experienced in so many different avenues of exercise and movement that you have been, I just find it really beautiful that you merge that spiritual aspect with exercise. In other words, you're not just looking at, okay, this is Pilates, this is, dance, this is this type of exercise. You're really looking at it at very, very deep levels, and really bringing in that divine feminine, that communing within, that receptivity, with God, with the divine, to help guide you and give you answers, and kind of bring more of like a holistic view of all these areas that were really, in a sense, very dry. It was just almost more mechanical in some aspects, and not looking at movement and balance and energy in a wider perspective that you have.
I think the world really needs to come to balance at this time by opening to the divine feminine, by opening to creative solutions. I think the world needs creative solutions at this time. And I think that art is one of those creative solutions that, as we allow ourselves to express freely, artfully, in a non-violent way, then it will give us a higher perspective of how can we bring the world to balance in terms of the ocean and the healing that needs to happen in the oceans and our water supply, and in the food that we're eating, and in the amount of rest that we're allowing ourselves, and giving ourselves the mercy, really allowing ourselves to experience mercy and compassion first towards ourselves, by letting ourselves rest, by letting ourselves eat nourishing whole foods, by giving ourselves movement breaks throughout the day. And, it's funny, in society, it used to be normal that people would take cigarette breaks like throughout the day. And why not take breaks to breathe? Why not take breaks to stand up and stretch for 5 to 15 minutes? Like, that's when the gems of wisdom really fall in, when I go into motion. And simple practices like Pilates and yoga, and then maybe even like more profound practices like ecstatic dance. Those are the ways that I've moved through the deepest challenges in my life, be it divorces or health issues, like allowing myself to really lay down on my mat and put some music on and let God move me, like really feel God breathing breath into my lungs and sending me into motion, and allowing myself to cry until I'm done, and then allowing myself to stand up and move until I'm happy. Like, we have choice and we have power in our life to shift our consciousness if we make that choice. And I think that's what's so powerful about a movement practice. And I think that's what's so powerful about a spiritual practice, is that we can choose to shift how we feel from being very sad, very depressed, very angry. And by being honest in our dialogue with God, dear God, I'm angry, I'm depressed, I'm sad, the state of affairs in the world is so upsetting. And then, allowing my focus to shift to my breath, to the movements of my body, to the sounds of music, and letting those things lift me up into an ecstatic state of happiness and joy, regardless of what is going on in the world. And then using that power and strength to say, okay, God, you just filled my cup. I feel 1,000 times better. How can I serve you?
That is so beautiful. And your insights are so empowering to give us that empowerment to heal ourselves, to commune with ourselves, to commune with the divine, and open up those channels to heal ourselves. And then we're filled, as you said, that was such a beautiful analogy, then to be of service, because we're filled, and then we want, to extend and share that.
Yes, this concept of ripples of love has been really profound for me lately. It's just this short statement, ripples of love. But it's created this image of like, okay, God sends me the energy to do what I need to do. How can I ripple that out into the world? And these simple movements that we can do every day, like Pilates and yoga, are so easily accessible. All we need is like a mat's worth of space and press play and go. And I think that the more that we make these choices to move our bodies rather than just to allow ourselves to sink into a sedentary lifestyle, the more that we're going to be inspired to find these creative solutions that the world needs at this time.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and look at your video for your Wild Feminine Pilates, and give me a second and we'll pull that up. We'll take a look.
Hi, my name is Hawa, and I am a movement healing expert. My passion to bring women together for healing and to enhance their own creative abilities to heal the world with love is growing and growing the more that I share the messages of the sacred feminine. I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Tammy Lynn Kent, author of Wild Feminine, which sparked this area of interest for me. I truly believe Dr. Kent's book, Wild Feminine, is a must read for all women. Over the past 5 years, I've been infusing my Pilates classes with pelvic bowl meditations from Wild Feminine, and the results have been a sweet expanding of love for these teachings as I see my students come to balance. I teach busy, wise, and brilliant women who are on the go. Taking even 10 to 15 minutes to rest in the pelvic bowl at the beginning or end of a Pilates class has been transformational for my students who leave class feeling refreshed, renewed, energized, and relaxed. This calm that can be achieved by exploring the landscape of the Wild Feminine is exhilarating. I see women excel in their areas of interest with a new joy, a sparkle in their eyes, and a uniqueness that is the emerging of their own divine light. As we spiral deeper into the pelvic bowl teachings this year, I'm inviting 10 people who want to explore their pelvic bowl with the intention of making peace with their pelvic space, healing deeply in order to come to a greater understanding of who you are and what your purpose is, so you can live a life of loving service to the one. Cultivate creativity and self-awareness with kindness in order to serve our Creator with love. Learn how to live life in balance with yourself, in balance with your environment, and in balance with the planet. Increasing our intuition comes as a result of these teachings because our ability to listen intuitively opens our perception of subtle awareness. Receiving guidance from God through the spirit of the planet, the spirits of the plants, as well as the spirit of our wombs and ovaries, teaches us the medicine we need to achieve balance at this time. Listening and following guidance are critical skills that need to be developed with practice, patience, and compassion and love. Connect with women with the intention of seeing the best in each other, encouraging each other to goodness, and amplifying our energy for healing to ride the wave of the rising sacred feminine tide. The sacred feminine is an energy of healing through love. She is kind, forgiving, and carries a mercy that brings tears to the eyes of sweetness, understanding, and unconditional love. The sacred feminine reminds us to wipe our tears and put a smile on our faces as she is lifting us up, to walk with grace as we serve God and humanity. Receive spiritual nourishment, deep peace, tender mercy, and come to truth as you learn how to embody the divine light within. Thank you for visiting my website, wildfemininepilates.com. Click the buttons below to register for the upcoming workshops on Zoom. Thank you.
A really powerful video, Hala.
Thank you so much. It's been super fun working with iMovie. That's been another area of creative expression that I've discovered over the last year, of these unique ways that we have using technology to share messages of love and connect and share knowledge. And I think that it's amazing how people are using Zoom to connect, that a lot of people are coming to creative solutions to continue to share knowledge, to continue to inspire each other to goodness, and to continue to teach and educate and learn and level up and, take our awarenesses of how to be in service to each other to the next level. I find it very inspiring. All of these tools that we have at our fingertips, we don't have to leave home to do it anymore. So, and I love what you're doing to remind people about beauty and to remind people of artful expression and to give artists a voice, because this to me is a healing balm that the world really needs at this time. And when we can set our intention to see beauty in everyone, when we can set our intention to see God in everyone, this elevates our consciousness and gives us more reverence for what humanity is dealing with at this time. It's a challenging time in humanity.
Yeah, and I love all the services that you offer, and your articulation, Hala, is speaking of beauty, is so beautiful and so touching. It's like every word you can really feel it. So this Wild Feminine Pilates really covers a lot in terms of many different areas of healing, but in particular, it seems like it's really kind of extracting balance within ourselves, balance in the world, balance, in all these different areas, and to come from that place. And as you were saying, balancing the divine feminine in terms of the receptivity and going within and developing and hearing that voice and, following it, as well as, taking action in the divine masculine and having that strength and fortitude. It's really this beautiful blend. So do you feel like that is at least at the core of balance, or how are you viewing balance?
For me, as a seeker of truth and as a spiritual seeker, and now I'm using the term that I've just recently had this aha moment, a spiritual scientist, which is, creating these repetitive practices that create these openings, this same openings over and over and over again, almost like the scientific method. Like if I do these same spiritual practices, do they create these same openings over and over again? So between the meditation on the pelvis, between the movements, between the sacred chanting of the Sufi path, of the remembrance of the divine names of God, I think that balance is such an interesting topic, because we live in a world of duality, which is these polarizations, light and dark, hot and cold, masculine and feminine. But what God is calling us to at this time is unity. And we wouldn't be able to know the difference of the unity if we didn't know the duality. And I think what people who are on a spiritual path are seeking for, and people who don't know what they're looking for are seeking for, what we're really looking for is unity. What we're really looking for is that merging with the divine love. I think that people look outside of themselves looking to fill some sort of void with materialistic kinds of things. And I mean, I even catch myself, we scroll on Facebook and Instagram, and what are we looking for? We're looking for connection. And ultimately, that connection with the divine, that unity, that is what we're really looking for. So in terms of balance, I would say the balance comes with looking within and taking a break from the outer reality to discover the inner reality. And when we travel through the heart, when we travel through the soul, the Sufis call it the secret. There's a door inside of the soul called the secret. This is the doorway to the unity. And I think this is really what people are looking for. beyond balance, beyond energy, beyond art, beyond everything. What people are looking for is love and happiness and contentment. And that can be discovered by traveling through the doorways of the heart to find unity.
And it's so beautiful. It's like we're all knocking on that same door. And in your particular case, with all your gifts and talents and spirit revelations and whatnot, you're bringing this whole sense of, okay, it's all about you. It's all about going within, and you're exploring it from spiritual aspects and dimensions, but also through the practicality of fitness, through exercise and movement.
Yes, we have to care for our clay. We are here in this dualistic plane, and we have to do our laundry and wash our dishes and maintain our physical body. And it's a balance. And I think that is the answer to the question is, the balance between maintaining our physicality and nurturing our spirit.
Mm-hmm. We still have a little bit more time, Hawa. Tell us a little bit more about some other services that you provide, because I know you cover a huge amount of territory. We've explored the divine feminine Pilates, which is vast in and of itself. But tell us a little bit more about you and some of the healing modalities that you offer.
Thank you so much. Yes. So over the last year and a half, I've developed 10 online courses, and Warm Up was really my love child baby of like brain, work over the last 10 years. Warm Up is the online fitness studio that you can use for daily fitness and pain-free fitness. There's also guided meditations, and you can visit the website warmupworkout.fit. So that was the first launch of 2020. And then from there came the Wild Feminine Pilates program. You can visit wildfemininepilates.com and you'll find Wild Feminine Pilates, Healing Trauma with Hawa, the 8-week core transformation, which starts in January, our womb steaming class, which we'll be doing next month, September, which is coming up quickly, and our monthly grief ceremonies. The monthly grief ceremonies are complimentary. This is a community service aspect of the Wild Feminine Pilates program. And then I have a third website, which is healingwithhawa.com. And healingwithhawa.com is a chance to experience Sufi healing. So the word Sufi can translate as purity or softness. It was meant to describe the soft wool clothing that these spiritual masters wore, and they wore very simple, soft clothing because they wanted to focus on purifying the heart and purifying the soul and purifying the secret. They went in search of the unity that I was talking about. So there's 4 programs as part of the healingwithhawa.com website, which is the Unity Healing. The Unity Healing is a very beautiful prayer. It clears images from the soul that prevents us from feeling God's love. It's like clearing off your windshield wiper in your car if all of a sudden you got bugs smashed on it. So the bugs are like, life circumstances that just happen to us. And then we use the prayer to clear off that windshield wiper and have a clearer perspective of divine love. It's like being wrapped in a blanket of peace and love and mercy once you've received the Unity Healing. It's very sweet. And we'll be doing Sufi systems for healing tonight, which is learning how to use the divine names of God for healing. Each of these divine names of God is like a different aspect of love. And they're universal aspects like truth, strength, honesty, power, mercy, compassion, love, patience, all of these qualities that we need to develop as human beings in order to refine our human nature, in order to embrace our divine nature. So really using the Sufi systems, I'm guiding people to learn how to overcome anger, how to overcome jealousy, how to overcome deep sadness of the soul, how to overcome depression. And I pray and I ask God, how do I use the divine names to heal these things that we deal with in our humanity that kind of trip us up? And the divine names of God are, you could write like a book for each one of the divine names. So it's very amazing, the endless knowledge that God pours down upon us when we knock on the door and ask sincerely. So Sufi Systems for Healing is tonight on Zoom from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then Share Your Gifts is about spiritual business planning. Literally, your divine purpose is written on the fabric of your soul. And as we learn how to travel through the layers of your soul, it's amazing because there's different ideas on each layer of the soul as I've learned how to travel through the layers of the soul. And I thought, how can I share these practices with people and inspire them to these divinely guided businesses where people are sincerely asking God, what does the world need at this time? And how can I fill that need with the skills that I have? So these are the tools that I've used to build my practice. And I want to share with other people how they can come to divine abundance by serving God and serving humanity. So share your gifts. That class is so inspiring to me. It's like the spark of excitement. Like, I love new ideas. I love writing curriculum. And then when people tell me what they do, and I'm like, oh my God, you could do this, 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 and this. Like, I get really excited about all the possibilities that people can explore in their businesses as a result of sincere prayer and God shining the light into the fabric of their soul and exposing all of these amazing possibilities that are so creative. I'm not coming up with these ideas. I'm just listening to what people are telling me that are their gifts. And I'm like, okay, this is what you can do with it. It's so cool. I find it very inspiring. And then the last program of the healingwithhawa.com site, I'm having one of those moments. Let me look at my list if you don't mind. One of those memory moments. Yes, Energetics for Therapists. This is a new course that I'm developing. Energetics for Therapists came as a result of, I joined a lot of Facebook groups with mental health therapists because I think that mental health therapy is really profound. I go to my own therapist and I love to see how all of these different healing modalities fit together, things like EMDR, and how we can really heal the brain, how that affects the nervous system, how that affects the body, how that affects the heart and the soul, how it all fits together. And as a cranial sacral therapist, which is one of the healing modalities that I offer is cranial sacral therapy, I thought I really want to connect with therapists. And a lot of the therapists were saying, oh my God, I'm so burnt out. I'm so exhausted. I don't even know how I'm going to do it. They're seeing like 40 clients a week, back-to-back sessions. And I have learned over the years of teaching a lot of Pilates, how to manage my energy in a way that uses meditation to create healthy boundaries energetically for myself and for my students. And I thought, I really want to share this with mental health therapists. So I started to write this course, and I feel like I'm at the beginning of writing this course. Like, it took me 10 years to write Warm Up. I feel like it's going to take me 10 years to develop Energetics for Therapists. But already I started offering the course once a month on Zoom on Thursday nights. And I wrote like at least 10 different classes to share all of the different tools in my toolbox, like finger magic breathing. You know, that's something that can be done quickly and easily between clients in order just to clear out your energy, in order to prepare yourself for the next person. And I have a list of at least 10 different meditations, and I'm sure that list will grow as I learn and as I develop the course and as I teach it and as therapists tell me their experiences of working with it. So Energetics for Therapists has been one of my new sparks of creativity that's come up over the last year of just listening what's the need in the community and asking God how to respond to it.
You offer so many wonderful courses and classes, and you're just like, you're all over the place, but in a good way. Like you're bringing all like these pieces together, you know, like in this big, like beautiful, like puzzle of life and healing and you know, reverence to life and to God and to the self. Is really, the whole weaving and tapestry is really quite beautiful, Hawa.
Thank you so much. I was sharing with a girlfriend this morning, you know, I feel overwhelmed because I feel like I have so much to create in such a short amount of time. And a lot of coaches that I've worked with have been like, Hawa, you need to focus your energy. You're going in too many different directions. So I prayed and I'm like, God, tell me the truth. Am I going too many different directions? Is this kind of like, you know, a way to not really finish anything? And I got, allow yourself to be free creatively. And I felt so happy and so excited. It almost made me laugh out loud. I got this image of having like 10 different blank canvases like around the room and just spraying paint in every single direction. Like, and it made me so happy because for me, my path is not a straight path. Although in spirituality, we talk about this concept of a straight path, which is a very beautiful concept. But for me, it's more of a spiral. And energy moves in spirals. So I spiral away from a project and I come back to it. But they all interweave like puzzle pieces. And as I fit in the pieces in one spot, I think, oh my God, that could work over here for this community of people who are, really needing this help. And it made me understand that I could use the ingredients and cook up as many different dishes as I like.
Mhm. Yeah. And I love that because you're breaking a lot of traditional thought. You're really breaking a lot of boundaries because we're really moving in and accepting a non-linear way of thinking and expressing because it's not like, okay, go from A and then go to B, go to C. I mean, there is a method and an order, but it's not coming from that rational linear aspect. Like you start a project and it's like, it's okay. Maybe there's moments where it needs to germinate, then you move on to something else. It's almost like that kind of like when we dream, we're actually literally dreaming, kind of flowing in that way. It's just like here and then it's over here. And it's like you just fully embrace that. And it's really quite beautiful to hear you speak about that and to, actually be living it with all these different projects and you constantly, go back within, you're constantly checking, monitoring, listening to yourself. And so many beautiful messages that you brought out, how is, to empower ourselves, to heal ourselves, the whole message of unity, that it's really all about us and that focus, within. And then you're saying like the healthy boundaries. I mean, you're really touching upon so many practical areas that is applicable, for anyone in whatever field of endeavor they're in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have a few more minutes. Is there anything that we haven't touched upon that you'd like to share? And then we'll leave you the closing comments, however you'd like to close the show. And then let us know how we can stay connected with you, how we can sign up for your courses and all that good stuff.
Is it okay if I share a chanting prayer to close today?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see. Which chanting prayer should I say? So this is a very beautiful prayer. It calls upon God and it calls upon the prophets. So as we open to the divine light, as we open to the prophetic light, I encourage everybody, breathe into your heart space, feel the vibration of the prayer, feel the frequency of the prayer, and feel the opening. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammad Rasulullah, Ibrahim Rasulullah, Musa Rasulullah, Isa Rasulullah, alayhim salatullah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammad Rasulullah, Ibrahim Rasulullah, Musa Rasulullah, Isa Rasulullah, alayhim salatullah. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. And thank you so much, Leslie Sue, for having me here today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Wow, that was beautiful chanting. I'm still in that state like bliss and peace. Thank you so much. And I love that the chanting. So we also have the movement and balance and energy coming through the throat chakra, as well as utilizing the whole body. So there's like no stone unturned with Hawa. It's like it's basically all covered. It's wonderful. So let us know how we can stay connected with you. Could you just mention your website and any social media that you'd like to share as well?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, please visit me at my websites, healingwithhowa.com and warmupworkout.fit. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter if you research my name, Hawa Robin Khan. And I pray that God sends deep blessings of peace to everyone who watches this and opens their heart to the creativity that uplifts the soul into joy and happiness and contentment.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was a great way to close out the show. Thank you for that beautiful blessing. That was wonderful. Thank you, Hawa, for sharing your journey and all your healing modalities and your profound insights and just sharing how you're being of service and of service to yourself and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching Art and Talk. We appreciate the time you take to watch our art videos. Please stay connected with us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.